convene the afternoon session of the Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, April 30th, 2024. Welcome back, and welcome to those of you who were not with us this morning but are today. We have up first a 1:30 time certain with an item from Public Works. And this is a public hearing script on Order 24-04-30-03 in the matter of surrender of 7 county roads or portions thereof to the City of Eugene. And I don't have anyone signed up to speak in person, so I will check with Tanya. Do we have anyone signed up to give public comment for this hearing online?
I do not see any attendees signed up for public comment.
All right. This hearing, this public hearing is being held pursuant to ORS 373.270 to allow for public testimony prior to the Board of Commissioners' action on approving or denying the City of Eugene's request to obtain jurisdiction of portions of county roads. If approved, the board can adopt a final order to surrender the 7 county roads to the City of Eugene. Oh, I see. I hadn't even opened the public hearing yet, so hold that thought. First, I will call for disclosure of board members for any ex parte contacts and abstentions due to conflict of interest, ex parte contact, or biases. Commissioner Senega?
None.
Commissioner Buck?
None.
Commissioner Farr?
I have none.
Vice Chair Lovall?
None.
And Chair Lori Trieger? I have none. I will dispense with opening a public hearing since we don't have anyone signed up to give comment, and therefore turn it over to staff, Mr. J. Blumay, to give us a report on this item. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. The city has requested that Lane County surrender the county roads pursuant to City Resolution 5400, which was dated February 14th, 2024, as shown on Exhibit C of the agenda item before you. ORS 373.270 does require a public hearing for road surrenders. The board approved today's public hearing on March 19th pursuant to Order 2403-1902. A public notice of this matter was published in the Register Guard 1 day for 4 consecutive weeks, beginning on April 2nd, 2024, meeting all the statutory requirements for public hearings per ORS 368. The segments of the 7 county roads subject to these proceedings are all located within Eugene city limits and consist of approximately 5.78 miles of road right-of-way collectively. I do have some maps that I'd like to share with you if I can get this running. Seeing it show up on the screen.
Does Tanya have your presentation? Would you like her to run it remotely?
If she wouldn't mind.
Tanya, do you have the presentation? And if so, can you bring it up?
Yeah, hang on just one sec.
Thank you. And while you're doing that, I will just note my apologies for getting mixed up in the order. This is the public hearing. The public hearing is currently open. The report from staff is part of that hearing. The next step will be to call for public testimony, which at that time we'll just confirm there's no one signed up to give any. Thank you. Is this your first slide?
Okay. So the first road we're going to talk about is Bailey Hill Road. It is County Road number 1297. Bailey Hill Road was established as a county road in 1957 with a variable width right-of-way. The section of Bailey Hill Road proposed to be surrendered to the city is approximately 0.8 miles in length and is located in South Eugene between South Bertelson Road and the current urban growth boundary line. If you could forward to the next slide, please. The next road is Byron Street. There are actually 2 sections of Byron Street included in the city's request. The first segment, County Road number 1891, was established as a county road in 1970 with a 60-foot right-of-way width. This segment is approximately 0.13 miles in length. The second segment, County Road number 2146, was established as a county road in 1979 with a 50-foot right-of-way width. This segment is approximately 0.07 miles in length. Both segments are located in the Santa Clara area of Eugene. Next slide, please. Our next road is Cornwall Avenue, County Road number 1772. This segment of Cornwall Avenue, proposed to be vacated, was established as part of the Northwest Expressway in 1971 and lies between Northwest Expressway and North Park Avenue. The road has an 80-foot right-of-way width and is approximately 0.09 miles in length. Next slide, please. Our next road is Green Hill Road. This road was established by two separate petitions as County Roads 36 and 465. County Road number 36 was established in 1895 with a 40-foot right-of-way width. County Road number 465 was established as the W.E. Perkerson Road in 1905. Also has a 40-foot right-of-way width. The segment proposed to be surrendered to the city is located between the Coos Bay Rail Line just north of West 11th and the roundabout at the west end of Barger Avenue at the UGB line. This section of road is approximately 2.2 miles in length. Next slide, please. Irvington Drive was established in 1904 with a 40-foot right-of-way width. Lane County improved the section of Irvington Drive between River Road and Northwest Expressway in the early 2000s to include curb and gutters, sidewalk, and stormwater facilities. A right-of-way was acquired for the project, which expanded the 40-foot right-of-way width to a variable width right-of-way. This section is 0.02 miles in length and is the last remaining segment of Irvington Road between Northwest Expressway and River Road that is still under Lane County jurisdiction. Next slide, please. Marion Lane, County Road number 1256, was established in 1959 with a 50-foot right-of-way width. The segment proposed to be vacated is located west of River Road in the vicinity of LK Drive. The road is approximately 0.27 miles in length. Next slide, please. River Road, County Road number 200, was established in 1856 with a 60-foot right-of-way width. The road has been improved to urban standards throughout the years with additional right-of-way acquired and is now variable in width. There are three distinct segments of River Road proposed for surrender at this time. Two of the segments are located south of Beltline Road, with the first being located between Maynard Lane and Rosewood Avenue, and the second between Horn Lane and Mary Lane. These two sections comprise of approximately 0.39 miles in length. The other section of River Road proposed to be surrendered is located north of Beltline Road between Wedgwood Drive and the current city limit line at West Beacon Drive, and it is approximately 1.71 miles in length. I am done with the slides. I think it's important to note that there is a transfer of county road funds in the amount of $940,000 to the city as negotiated through an IGA between Lane County and the city of Eugene, as approved by the board on March 12th of 2024. The IGA stipulates that the county will provide $940,000 to the city once the jurisdictional transfer of River Road is complete and is intended to offset the cost for the city to upgrade 94 identified ADA ramps to current standards. Also included in the transfer of River Road to the city will be 4 signalized intersections, which will no longer be maintained by the county. In closing, I would also like to point out that it is estimated that the county will save approximately $167,000 per year on road maintenance activities if the board approves the surrender of these roads. So this concludes my presentation at this time. I'd like to turn this matter back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Bonet. Tanya, just to double check, no one else has entered Harris Hall. Is there anyone else who has since joined online who might wish to give public testimony on this item?
I do not see anyone.
Thank you. And no additional comments by staff. Then I will close the hearing and entertain discussion and any action by the board. Commissioner Buck.
I certainly appreciate and support the order in front of us. I just thought it was particularly interesting to note the dates in which some of these roads were originally made. Green Hill is 1895, and I'm sure it was just like a dirt road at the time. And the parts of River Road is 1856. This is before we were a state. And that's just, it's fascinating to kind of just hear the history of what we're, after all this time, turning over to the city that has been like within the urban growth boundary in many cases of Eugene for as long as the city was probably around. So I just thought that was really fascinating. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Farr.
You know, you should write a book, because what Commissioner Buck talks about is just fascinating to me, the history of it. You know, like the River Road itself. If you trace it, the River Road resurfaces all the way up to the Columbia River, where it ends at the Columbia River. So the same River Road probably had well, no doubt had ferries, Boone's Ferry for one of them along the way. But the history of that old, it's not that old compared to, you know, Sheffield, where I'm from. But you know, but it really is fascinating to see how things have changed through the years. And Green Hill Road itself, you know, not that long ago, Green Hill Road, when I was teaching my granddaughter to drive, I said that's an unforgiving road. That is, there's no, if you go off the road, you're down there. It's built on a berm, and it's all this, once again, it was built up above the floodplain. The history of the roads that you know, just like the back of your hand, Jay, are really, it's just fascinating to everybody. And I think that, you know, I was going to make a Byron quote, since Byron was one of the roads that you're surrendering, is adversity is the first path to truth. So whenever you have an argument with the city of Eugene, adversity is the first path to truth. Give them $940,000 and they'll be happy.
Seeing no further comment, I would entertain a motion unless anyone is asking for any amendments to this order. No?
Chair, I can make a motion. In fact, I remember driving cattle down River Road on the way to school. I'm kidding. I move to approve order number 24-04-30-03 in the matter to surrender portions of 7 county roads to the city of Eugene in this public hearing.
Full second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Vice Chair, seconded by Commissioner Buck to approve the order before us. Any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Approval of Order 24-04-30-03 in the matter of the surrender of 7 county roads or portions thereof to the city of Eugene. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Great work, Jay.
Right, we are still in the Public Works portion of our agenda, and we'll move to item B, which is an order in the matter of approving the Blue River Drive concept. And I'll welcome Senior Transportation Planner Becky Taylor to the table. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Chair Trieger and Commissioners. I also have a presentation.
Are we still in the Public Works portion of the agenda? We're in the roads portion of the agenda.
All right. Thank you for your patience with that. I'm excited to be here today to present to you the Blue River Drive design concept, and we're seeking your approval. This design was developed in response to community preferences, and the goal of this design is to support rebuilding Blue River after the 2020 Holiday Farm Fire. The report in your agenda packet details the process and recommendations, but I have a brief presentation just to overview the key points of that material. And your approval is required by board order pursuant to Lane Manual 15050. The board may recall about a year ago approving something that provided an immediate solution. My project in general was initiated in response to community concerns, people trying to redevelop. In downtown Blue River, they were struggling to meet some of the code setback requirements from the right-of-way, and you solved that problem with some code amendments. It was Ordinance 2302, which established the existing right-of-way widths in downtown Blue River for measuring applicable setbacks. And to then affirm the right-of-way needs, I've been working with the community over the past year to develop a design concept for Blue River Drive. The scope of the project includes the entire length of Blue River Drive, which is shown on this slide. The initial focus was on just the downtown portion highlighted in yellow. But after the first community meeting, hearing about school children at the west end of Blue River Drive having to walk in the ditch to avoid traffic and not being able to safely walk or bike to the library downtown, compelled us to expand the scope to include the entire road. The public process included multiple community meetings so that we could better understand the community needs and preferences. And the design concept before the board today is the result of those inputs. The design was endorsed by both the Blue River Work Group, facilitated by Oregon Solutions, and the Lane County Transportation Advisory Committee. I want to give special thanks to the Blue River Work Group. Again, it was facilitated by Oregon Solutions, and I utilized them as an advisory body for the project. I met with them for advice on both the design and the public process, and they endorsed the design recommendation on September 19th, 2023. So the existing conditions, this is the west end adjacent to the school. As you can see, Blue River Drive currently lacks safe space for walking and biking, and the library is in the downtown area just 1.5 miles to the east, within walking and biking distance, but not safe to do so without supporting infrastructure. So the vision is to construct a 12-foot wide multi-use path on the south side of Blue River Drive from the school to the downtown. And we feel this will increase walking and biking comfort for all ages and abilities. Other benefits of this design include softening the steep side slopes of the roadway, as we did hear community concerns tell us about the difficulty of trying to pull a truck out of a steep ditch. The design also creates opportunity for improved stormwater management, and this all fits within the existing 60 feet right-of-way. We're trying to minimize our footprint. Then the existing conditions downtown. Historically, Blue River Drive supported two-way vehicle traffic and provided paved and gravel shoulders that were utilized for parking. The parking areas included head-in and parallel configurations, and people walked along the shoulder or biked in the road. The vision for downtown Blue River Drive is providing sidewalks on both sides of the road to improve pedestrian safety for people moving through the downtown area. Crosswalks are recommended at intersections to support safe walking between businesses, homes, and the library. We believe these features will slow vehicle speeds and enable shared travel space between people driving and people bicycling. People may also choose to walk their bikes on the sidewalks through the downtown section. The on-street parking designs have been customized to meet the unique needs of the adjacent properties to support rebuilding the downtown. This is the first important step, getting your approval so that we can then pursue the next steps. The next steps require additional funding, which we don't have within the Lane County Road Fund. We'll need to pursue external funding, and so having your approval will make us much more competitive in those grant sources. Just some high-level timelines and cost estimates to refine the design from these concepts to construction ready for the downtown portion is about $500,000, and that's a 2-year process to detail all of the ADA ramps, stormwater management, any environmental permits, and then construction would likely occur within a one-year construction season. That cost estimate is about $2 million. Then for the longer portion, the school to the bridge, about $2 million just for design, and that would be a 3-year process, and then $8 million over 2 years for construction. And if you approve it today, then we can move forward more confidently in pursuing grant sources for implementation. And that concludes my presentation, unless you have any questions.
Thank you so much for that. Any questions for staff from the board? Commissioner Farr?
I haven't any questions, but there's certain parts of your presentation that seem very, very familiar. Kids having to walk in the ditch to avoid walking on the road. Sounds kind of like North Gillum, doesn't it, when you made presentations on North Gillum? And what I'd say, Mr. Rickoff, is whenever Becky Taylor makes a presentation, it's always in terms that the people who are listening can fully understand. And quite often they don't always love what it is you have to say, because sometimes you have to deliver news that is not what they wish they were hearing. But it's always well appreciated, whether you're talking to Northeast neighbors or whether you're talking to the folks up by the Mackenzie River. You do a superb job of representing Lane County, representing all of us, and making sure that we get the best impression made on the people that we're trying to serve. So, Becky Taylor, thank you so much for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Farr. And if I may add, Chair, usually the bad news is that we lack sufficient funding to really meet all of the needs, and we recognize that, and we're pursuing as many grant sources as possible to meet the needs of our community.
Sometimes not quite as fast as people like, but usually in the direction that people are hoping it goes. So thank you again.
Commissioner Beck?
Thank you, Chair. I want to appreciate all the work you've done over the past year with the work group in order to make this happen. It's a complicated process, and for the people there, they just want it to be done and built to the standards that they need in order to build homes and businesses back. So, as Commissioner Farr said, you're so capable of taking really complex language and distilling it down so people can understand and make decisions, which is what the work group did over the course of the last year. And I want to, again, thank all the time and effort that those folks listed on there took to make it happen. I really do believe that we will be competitive in our requests for the redevelopment of this, since it was part of the Holiday Farm fire, and people understand the gravity and the need for it. So I'm thankful for the board for your willingness to pursue this. Thank you.
Commissioner Seneca?
Yes, thanks, Ms. Taylor. Great presentation, and I think we're all very excited. It's been a huge project. We know how much work you've put into it, and funding. I mean, you and I are on the Lane Act meeting together also, and that's all we talk about. There's a lot of work we'd love to do that needs to be done, but funding is key right now. I'll just take a second. We heaped a lot of praise on Alex Kyler today, and that's the Becky Taylor of the Lane Act meeting. I mean, everybody just brightens up when she presents or has facts to bring to us, so we really appreciate your hard work. Thank you.
We need to work together. I don't experience any of this. Well done. Yeah, I'm excited too, because I mean, your main point here is the safety of the kids. And obviously you mentioned too that government takes a while, and I'm thinking a kindergarten kid's going to be about 5th grade, about the time he can walk his bike from the school to the library. So like everyone else, I'm hoping we can get it done a little sooner and get the finances.
Vice Chair created the perfect segue to what I wanted to mention in particular, which is, putting bike and pedestrian infrastructure so important, because we're really supporting future generations, not only in the safety of today, but in how we move from point A to point B in the future. And we know that that is changing, and we know good social cohesion, especially in small rural communities, is really supported by people being able to be out and walking and biking safely, and not just independently in their own little steel projectiles barreling down a street. Probably about, going on 20 years ago now, I was privileged to be part of an organization that brought the first Safe Routes to School grant dollars into the Eugene community, which then started as a pilot at Eugene 4J, extended district-wide, then was adopted by Bethel, and then Springfield School District. And I know there are very specific pots for rural communities, for safe routes to school specifically. I'm sure you're well aware and already on it. But yeah, I think this is, as Commissioner Buck said, because it's in a fire-affected community and because it's got an emphasis on getting kids safely to school, I think this will position us well for those resources to do that work. So I'm very excited to hear as the years go on how that's going. Without any further, Commissioner Buck.
Thank you, Chair. It's my pleasure to move Order 24-04-30-04 in the matter of approving the Blue River Drive concept.
Second that?
It's been moved by Commissioner Buck, seconded by Vice Chair Lovall to approve the order before us. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Approval of Order 24-04-30-04 in the matter of approving the Blue River Drive concept. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you, Chair Tree.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioners, and thank you all for your leadership. I bring a lot of love and passion to my work, specifically because I'm so well supported, which you all demonstrated. I really appreciate it. And also my leadership, my division manager is here today just to support me. I couldn't do this work without all of the support from leadership. Commissioner Buck, this is in your district, and you've really been a leader and has made the work easier for me because you've built so much trust with constituents. So thank you all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Taylor. Appreciate that. Thank
Sure.
you.
If I may, just, I bring this up often, and just in case there's somebody here who's not heard it before, when you hear Ms. Taylor make a presentation and you see the magnitude and the effectiveness of the work, you understand why she was named the Outstanding Public Employee in 2018 by LCOG.
Thank you. So now it is not listed on your afternoon agenda, but colleagues, you may recall this morning we were pressed for time and we skipped over county administrator announcements, and I understand there are a couple of items, so I'll turn it over to our acting county administrator, Greg Rickoff, for those.
Chair Trieger, Commissioners, thank you very much. First and foremost, you will have Steve Mokrajewski back with you next Tuesday. I have enjoyed my 2 weeks having a chance to work with you, particularly today, with moving such great projects forward. I wanted to speak quickly, Chair Trieger, Commissioner Farr, you both mentioned the tenacity and optimism needed to work with state partners from time to time, and the fact that some of these items move relatively slowly. Certainly this afternoon, Chair Buck, Commissioner Buck, we've talked about Blue River and the challenges we've had. I did want to point out one project that is moving with alacrity. I shared this with you privately, but I wanted to put this on the record. The deflection program, response to the Measure 110 unraveling that occurred in the short session. This was signed into law on April 1st. The first application was required that we submit that by April 22nd. We already have a contract. We have our application approved and a contract ready for signature as of today, April 30th. So government, state government can move with alacrity. I want to mention that this is the Criminal Justice Commission, a commission chaired by Paul Solomon, that has created such urgency across the state to get these programs out and going. And Commissioner Seneca, I'm not losing track of your comments during the legislative session about the need to ensure continued funding. I think we've all had conversations individually about the strong start, but sometimes the tailing off of funding for programs. This is something that we will not be able to afford to do. We have to keep this up. Please know that we'll be coming to you on May 14th to ask for your authorization to accept these dollars. So even though everything's sitting and waiting for us, we'll still need your approval. The first tranche is about $950,000. That's planning dollars to get us started, to get the program manager on board, and to start really working on the design with the community. This is meant to be designed countywide, but more on that on May 14th. I just wanted to tie in the numerous comments about our state partnership today with a little bit of good news. Today is E20-21 for elections. That means that today is the deadline to register to vote or affiliate with a major party. The election office is open until 5 p.m. to accommodate in-person registration. All voters are encouraged to verify their registration, that it's active and up to date, and they are registered with the party they hope to be registered with when the ballot arrives. Local ballots will arrive at the Eugene Post Office this Thursday. Voters should have their ballots no later than Thursday of next week. Give the election office a call or a visit to request a replacement ballot if you've not received one by the following Thursday. Drop sites will open Thursday. All 21 drop sites are open, and the list of drop sites is included with each ballot and on the elections website. The live streaming starts Thursday. This is a great time to visit the website and review the tentative ballot processing schedule and plan your live stream or in-person observation. Ballot collection, batching, and signature review starts on Monday, May 6th. The logic and accuracy public certification of the voting system is scheduled for Thursday, May 9th. With that, it's still my understanding you'll have the exact number in your next report, but we're still sitting at about 270,000 registered voters in the county of Lane. It's a significant undertaking. So be thinking good thoughts about that remarkable election staff. Chair Trieger, that's what I have today.
Thank you very much for that. And with that, I will turn it over to the board to see if there are any announcements from commissioners this afternoon. Seeing none, we have an item of business, item B. Tanya, did you want to bring up the chart for us?
Yes, I
We are
will.
going to, so commissioners, as you know, at this point in our meeting, each time we make assignments, and we have some that take a while for all manner of reasons, and sometimes they grow a little stale or the issue gets addressed through some other means. So every now and then we like to go through and review assignment and work session requests to make sure the ones that staff is still tracking for us are items that we want them to continue to work through and bring back to us at a future date. And we also generally have a process whereby we don't formally close an assignment without the say-so of the commissioner who made it, and in some cases, we have holdover assignments from commissioners who are no longer serving. So it's time to review these. And Tanya, how would you like to run this? This is your track, or would you like to just walk us through item by item?
Yeah, I would like to do that.
Great, please do, thank you.
Okay, so the first item we have is discuss committees, structures, and frequency of reporting back to the board. There is no background on this as far as do we want to keep this as a placeholder on here? Do we want to discuss this today or plan to discuss it in the future?
Commissioner Buck has a comment.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this is an idea I brought up a while ago. I can't remember how long ago. It was really around the fact that we're all on different committees and we don't always necessarily hear back on updates of the various committees to the board in general. We clearly don't have time to go to every committee ourselves or read all the material of every committee ourselves. So this was just a general idea of a check-in to say, this month I had these board meetings and these are what we're working on, and kind of go from there. It wasn't meant to be cumbersome or time-consuming. It was just something to be able to share what our individual committees are working on with the board at large.
Thank you. I wonder if, because we put agenda team as the staff assignment, I wonder if maybe Vice Chair and I and the administrator and Tanya could just have a short conversation and maybe bring some suggestions for how to structure that or frequency, just to prompt some discussion to hone us in. Because it occurs to me, as you say, there's so many committees, and without some kind of structure for each of us to report back, we might not quite get out of it what we're looking for.
My initial thought, which is completely malleable depending on the agenda team, was to have something on our agendas that said, committee sharing or a section. So if something happened that, since the last meeting, we could share it with the rest of the group and the public at large. But up to the agenda team to see if that actually works.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to just, I hear what you're saying now. There's both the functional, how we get it on the agenda and frequency to report back. I guess what I'm thinking of more, and maybe I would just throw this out for my colleagues to consider. So I'll volunteer myself if people want to email suggestions or just chat with me about it. If we could come up with some kind of sort of template that each of us could be using, even if it's just mentally when we're in our committees, to say, oh, this is the kind of thing that would be good to bring back. Major decision points, policy decisions or recommendations, issues that we're wrestling with, and whether there's any distinction between, our mandated committees versus other standing committees. I'm thinking more of those kind of things. So we're all sort of we're all using a similar structure to bring that back, to give some shape to it. Might be useful. And then whether we want to put different committees on a regular schedule. These are the committees, quarterly we get an update from these committees. Is it all the committees at once? Those are kind of more the things I'm thinking about. How do we want to structure that it's going to be useful? So maybe Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Chair Trigger. We do kind of informally bring back information as it kind of percolates to the surface. I did this morning, for instance, and usually there's something during every single board meeting, but it could be something, something fairly simple that you consider, like just an additional line on, if we look at commissioner response to public comments and/or other issues and remonstrances and committee reports. It could be something that simple, whether it be there or later in other business or commission business. Something for you to consider.
Yeah, and it could be just time-wise to think about how much time we want to.
Yeah.
Comment, Commissioner Seneca?
No, that was my concern.
Yeah, I would agree. I think my only input would be maybe put it at the end of the meeting in case we're time short. I think the remonstrance portion is really, in my mind, talking back to the people who took time to go to public comment. I don't think we should interrupt that with anything else. I think this would be better suited later in the meeting.
So I am hearing general consensus that people would like it to be a standing item, frequency and structure to be determined. Okay. Does that satisfy for the moment, Tanya? We can have more.
Yeah, I think so. I can
Great.
add it, I can add it into, we have, at the end of the agenda, we have some commissioners' business things, and we can just add it, maybe has a slot in there, and you can use as needed.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Then we have continue with development of definition of the footprint and look at other issues that were brought up during verbal comments. So this has been many years in the working, and the ordinance passed on 4/2/24. Do we want to keep this on here or remove it?
Looks complete.
It looks complete.
Yeah, I think that can be closed. Is the consensus?
Thank you. All right. Then we have requests to coordinate protocols about the role of commissioners in providing for the safety of staff and stakeholders. A work session was held on 4/17, and the board agreed to work with a third-party facilitator. How would we like to address this?
I think that needs to stay open. Commissioner Buck made the assignment, so I'll double check with her.
I think that's ongoing
Yeah,
at this point.
yeah, I don't think we've resolved that. I know you skipped over one that we are wrestling with due to some other court.
I rearranged the, I sorted it based on date that it was
I
going to
see.
be followed
Thank
up.
you.
And one was, we will be getting to that because the date was removed, so we
Okay.
will, it's down further in the list.
Thank you. I'll close my iPad and follow your screen.
Okay, so for clarity on this item, is this related to the working agreements at all that, that we were going to be following up in the fall, or is this a separate item completely?
I think there's some overlay, but it's a standalone item.
Okay, thank you. All right, then we have the request that came today, the 2024 ice storm response. Are we good with closing that item out?
Commissioner Seneca, you and I have our names on it. I feel like it's been
After
satisfied to
today.
you.
Yeah, after today with Tiffany, for sure.
Yep, so that can be closed.
Thank you. Okay, and then we move on to Commissioner Trigger would like administration to bring back a discussion on committee process and what is the right and best path forward toward equity. Is Judy in that room in Harris Hall?
Judy is here, and I will just say, since this was my assignment, and then ask Judy to weigh in with anything else. I've been in communication with Shayna Higashi, and some great progress is being made on some things about our application process and outreach. So I think, to my mind, this is still open, but we're working our way toward getting a presentation that addresses this assignment. Did you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you. Chair Trigger, you got it perfectly. Both Shayna Higashi and Cameron Piatia have been working hard at kind of creating that, at least a universal form, so, and piloting how that's working. So at least having kind of a consistent application, and then packaging that too with some much-needed training on both the liaison side and committee members, and trying to come up with a annual training to address just basic public meetings law and all of the aspects around basic good functioning of committees. So yes, we're looking forward to presenting kind of the results of this assignment soon.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so then we have an assignment to have legal look into the clarification surrounding Lane County Historical Museum and make sure there's a complete review of the documentation and its collections.
Yeah, so this started when there was both a different person in the Office of County Counsel working on this, as well as a different director at the museum. I do still think it's important for the clarity that this assignment asked for around ownership of the collection, as distinct from the functioning of the museum that exhibits portions of that collection. So I think it needs to stay on there, and I'm happy to make a note to myself to follow up with our lead county counsel to find out who in her office maybe is able to pick that back up and bring that forward.
Thank you. Okay, then we will move on to the request county staff to do an analysis of an indoor multi-purpose facility. The last update that we talked about was if this could be included in the Lane Events Center Master Plan.
Commissioner Buck?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Instead of a standalone item, I think it might be better removed from this particular list, but then talked about when we talk about what we're doing with the whole master plan of the fairgrounds. So I'm okay if you all are with eliminating this one from this particular list.
Commissioner Farr?
You know, there's a standing meeting on indoor facilities. It's nothing to do with us. I used to attend it, and I think Commissioner Lovell, you've attended that one. It's in Springfield. It's held at the Chamber of Commerce in Springfield. And it really was more to do with the Glenwood area than the fairgrounds. So I'm not suggesting that we keep this alive because of that, but I think it's something that's going to continue to be discussion in the community about an indoor facility, particularly as it relates to indoor track.
Yeah, as I recall, Commissioner Buck, correct me because this was your assignment, it was sort of made in response to some public testimony received with people wanting us to consider part of the Lane Event Center property being used for an indoor facility.
It was, although now we have like a grander conversation to have. So I think it will fall into that.
So I guess we're not so much closing the assignment as sort of morphing it, rolling it up into the larger assignment of long-range planning for the Event Center campus.
Right.
Larger bookmark there.
Okay.
But that's on a different to-do list than this.
Does that work for you, Tanya? Does that make sense?
So I'm not clear. Do we want to remove it from this list and then follow up to a different list? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we want to remove it from this list and be
Okay.
sure that the staff leading, I see Public Works Director Dan Hurley here, so I think we've got this part covered, that staff understands that this should be folded into that long-range planning process. Great, thank you.
Thank you. That's clear. Okay. Then We have coordinate with the county administrator, county justice director, sheriff, DA, and HNHS behavioral health to review and return to the board with an update on the 10-year public safety plan.
So this was my assignment, and we've had a lot of shift in the landscape between deflection program and mobile crisis and all manner of things. So I'm actually going to ask our assistant and acting county administrator, who's also the director of our Community Justice and Rehabilitation Services Division, to respond to where you think getting this information back to the board fits with the current landscape of things.
This, of course, if I remember correctly, Chair Trieger, this was really looking at the gaps in and that the 10-year plan, a product of the Public Safety Coordinating Council, really is meant to identify what are the remaining gaps and what do we need to bring together. To my thinking, we answered at least a portion of that through the work with the Public Safety District Task Force that has started. So I think the pieces are moving in other arenas. I can't think of anything on this list that isn't an active project that is coming through the board. It's a little bit like the Lane Event Center. There's a lot of work going on. I don't think we're missing anything from that original request in the work we are continuing to provide, and there will be continuous updates of the 10-year public safety plan.
Great. Then with that, and without objection from any other members, I would be happy to remove it from the list. Just note how quickly things have changed in that arena for the good.
Thank you. Okay, so here's the one that you're asking about, Chair. It's the property manager, to look and analyze property zoning options for condition assessment and projected cost.
Yeah, so there's some contextual things that kept us from being able to really fully address that, but I'll ask Commissioner Lovell if you feel like they're addressed enough for now to remove them from the assignment sheet and could always be brought back, whether you want to keep it open pending. I mean, it could be all the way through after the next legislative session, in fact, likely would, or we could really address it.
Yeah, I'm hopeful it's not that long. My reluctance to move it off is that, we would kind of lose track of where it's at. After the Hennepin case, we got to figure out where that's going. But I think if it's not inconvenient, I'd like to leave it there as a placeholder just so we can keep it in mind. I think it's important that our mental health and our drug affections that we face and issues, that's an important issue that I think I want to try to still push through if we can.
So we can leave it on, but understand that there may not be anything we can really do until after
Correct.
the session because of some of the constraints on those properties. Okay.
Thank you.
Did you have-
All right, a work
Just a minute,
session to
Tanya.
review
Did you-
future impacts of CBB and CBA. Consider raising the minimum limit to more realistic limit.
Hang on just one second, Tanya, going back to the other
Sure.
item. Did you have a comment?
I will be able to work with Tanya on the comment line to update that.
Okay.
I just think there's some language that we need to capture to say that we are continuing to track this, that we have the Hennepin case out there, that we've got state action happening. So I would see us adding a little bit to the comment sections of all these as an update.
Great, thank you. Sorry, Tanya, go ahead.
Okay. All right, so this was the CBB and the CBA. Is Lauren in the room?
He is. He's working his way up to the table.
Great.
So Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, this item is currently scheduled to come to before you in a work session format on June 6th. We were going to target May, but I failed to realize that we were not in session for 2 of those weeks. 6-6 or 6?
Great.
Okay,
I'll check and see. I'll get that on the correct date on there.
great.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Then we have look into ways of to encourage agritourism and farm to table as a real option.
Commissioner Senega, this is your assignment.
Yep, I think we are okay to remove that one. It's gone to a larger conversation at this point.
Is that consensus from the board?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And
I can't see, like,
Yes, consensus,
is limited. Okay,
consensus
thank
that we
you.
can remove that with the understanding that there's other larger conversations that might impact that at work, the state level. But yeah, it can come off of the open assignments tracker.
Thank you. Okay, we have direct administrators convene a task force of staff and community partners to address housing production needs in Lane County.
Director Adams, did you want to join us at the table and make some comment? I know you're coming before us on this topic soon.
Indeed, Chair Trieger, Commissioners, thanks so much for the opportunity to speak to this. This assignment was actually prompted by staff at a point in time that I believe was early 2023. And this was shortly after Governor Kotek had issued 3 executive orders, you'll recall, on her first day, one of which created a statewide task force. The thought at the moment when we were coming before you in one of our regular affordable housing action plan updates was that we should do something in parallel here locally. So I think that moment has opened and closed, and I think events have moved on. We've seen certainly a housing production team stand up here in the metro area that's really quite focused on producing a larger number of houses than has historically been the case, led in large measure by our good friend Jacob Fox, the Executive Director of Homes for Good. And so this is associated with the Eugene Chamber. And it's informed by more recent legislation that has passed since the time when this assignment has put forward. So I think at this point, Chair, I think staff would recommend that it would be more efficient for us to work in concert with our external partners than to try to stand up a separate task force to work at cross purposes.
Any comments from the board to contradict that? All right, so that can be removed then, Tanya.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just a second here. All right, then request for Director Gray and Sheriff Hill to come back to the board with a presentation on the mobile crisis system. I did get an email from Eve. I don't think she's there today. She said that the Mobile Crisis Center update is scheduled for June 4th and will be including Whitebird, Eugene Police Department, and the Lane County Sheriff. Great, thank you. And I think the reason that's both Commissioner Senega and I, if I remember, is there was questions about mobile crisis, but also the co-responder model. So I want to be sure that's captured, if not in that same update you're talking about, that we have a pin in making sure that we do get that report back. And I see our administrator, but with his Community Justice Rehabilitation Services Director hat on, wanting to weigh in.
Chair Trigger, you're absolutely right. And the deflection program will be front and center in this arena as well. So we've got multiple items coming together. So I do think leaving this on as ongoing with the recognition that a lot is changing in real time.
So what I'm hearing possibly is keep it on till we get some of these back, and then we might want to take this off, but consider some regular report back schedule the way we do with our regular reports from Kate Budd on services for unhoused and housing services, our regular public health updates. We might want to.
And there's work we're going to need to do on how do these services intertwine? How do we weave together this program that really needs to impact all 4 corners of the county? And we're not there yet. I mean, we've got some vision. We know what some of the single overlays are going to look like, we think, but we don't have that larger picture. So keeping that alive at your level makes a heck of a lot of sense for the organization.
Great, thank you. Does that give you what you need, Tanya, for that item?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And the last item we have is presentation from Springfield Economic Development Team on the Glenwood redevelopment. And I sent an email to Jason, got an email back from him. He has talked with the city of Springfield and they are working on a date to report back to the board.
Great. Thank you.
Great, thank you, everyone.
All right. Then what we have next on our agenda is whether there are any now that we've cleaned that list up. Nature abhors a vacuum. Anybody want to fill that tracker in with some new assignments? Any requests from the board? This doesn't have to be a request, it's more a question, and if it needs to wait till Mr. Mokrzycki is back, but Ms. Williams might know the answer. We are operating under a strategic plan that is in its final half of a year, and I know there's been some talk of coming back together to start working on our next one, as I'm hearing all these assignments that are now sort of converging into overlay of work, that there's some good ripe and ready bones to start building a new strategic plan. Is there an update on that process and timeline? And if not, I'll make an assignment to ask for one to come back to us.
Yes, thank you, Chair Trieger. There actually is we're in the early planning stages, and so what we're trying this time around is trying to build up the team first and get that capacity and understanding, and then we're hoping to come back to the board. What we typically like to do is get feedback, like what did you like about the current plan? What is missing? Like here's kind of a timeline of events, outreach opportunities, like what are you looking for in terms of coming with a next plan? What are you looking for? Is there some key points that we can try and weave into the process? But definitely we then would look at an outside facilitator, but also get clarity if that's the direction too from the board and just start working on that. So we're hoping to we're already almost in May, but trying to come up with a plan to really kick this off late summer, early fall, so that with the hopes of getting towards kind of completion around the early beginning of 2025.
Great, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay. Seeing no other assignment requests, there are none to review. Unless I'm forgetting something from this morning, I don't think so. No need for executive session this afternoon. Is there any other business before we adjourn for the day? None from the board, any from administration?
None.
Seeing none, then at the sound of my gavel, we will be adjourned until next week, Tuesday, May 7th. We are adjourned.